Well, here's a butterfly that is incredibly rare UK-wide. It's incredibly rare and unlikely to occur because the black-veined white here has been extinct in the UK for many years. This is the black-veined white, a quite beautiful butterfly. This one's captive bred and won't be released. I've just brought this one out just to film. And what a beautiful species it is. At one time of day, and you're talking many years ago, this would have been quite a common butterfly in many parts of the UK. In Nottinghamshire, it's doubtful whether it actually occurred at all. There is a claimed record, and if you watch the Marsh Artillery video that I did recently, then here's a similar story, that there was a record claimed by Stirland back at around the turn of the last century that one of these beautiful butterflies was taken by J. Truman. However, the record was totally unsupported. There was no precise locality, although it was meant to be in the Thoresby Park area. Now, it could have been quite genuine at the time, but the vagueness of the record meant that J.W. Carr, in his book The Invertebrate Fauna of Nottinghamshire, declared that the record was doubtful, and to be honest, the record wouldn't stand the scrutiny of today's recording. So, if this butterfly was to ever reoccur in Nottinghamshire or occur in Nottinghamshire, it would be a county first. However, it's highly unlikely to ever do so. I'm filming this on the site of the old former Wartop Main colliery site, and it's been a cool and murky, gloomy start to this mid-May morning. It's just starting to warm up now, and as you can tell, the sun is starting to break through. It would be nice to know whether over 100 years ago this particular butterfly, the black-veined white, could indeed be found in a situation like this on such a morning. But it seems doubtful. The one county record we have, or maybe never had, is considered extremely doubtful by J.W. Carr. It's just a shame that Stirland had such a dubious reputation. It'd be nice to think that that record was quite true. But this is a beautiful little species. It's not like any of the 3 native species of whites that we have in the UK, or at least the common ones, like the large white, your green-veined white and your small white. Very different and very striking. The flight, from what I've seen, isn't that strong at all. In fact, for a butterfly of this size, it's quite fluttery and quite weak. It's a beautiful species with those veins really incredibly finely marked. It's very different to the green-veined white and the darkness over the veins on green-veined white on the underside. This is much finer, incredibly fine, as fine as you could possibly get. Whereas green-veined whites, the marking along the veins there is almost smudged and not as dark and as sharp as on the black-veined white here. I love these. This is the first one I've seen since I reared one back in the early 1980s, and that's quite a few years ago. It's a beautiful little butterfly, isn't it? Beautifully marked with that very fine black lines on the veins. Green veined white's very different. The veins are not so dark and are almost like smudged, and certainly broader and more diffused, not like the sharp, incredibly fine sort of pen-like markings along the veins, as in black veined white. It's very appropriately named, this butterfly. Its flight, from what I've seen, is quite sluggish, quite fluttery and dainty and quite weak. You might think it would be quite strong, but from what I've seen, no, it isn't. It'd be nice to think that where I'm standing now, before this was a former colliery, that maybe over 100 years ago, a butterfly like this black veined white could be found in such a situation on what started off as a gloomy, dull and quite cool morning. There's an easterly breeze, but it's now starting to warm up and the sun's starting to break through. Maybe over 100 years ago, this butterfly could be found in Nottinghamshire, but with just the one claimed record of dubious origin, it seems doubtful. And even records going back maybe nearly 200 years would have still found their way into Carr's 1916 publication, The Invertebrate Fauna of Nottinghamshire. So even years ago, it was more a butterfly of southern counties or southern parts of the UK. It'd be nice to see attempts at reintroducing the black veined white. Might not go down well amongst many people, but they do it with other species. Why not with this? The larvae, though, do feed on fruit trees. I reared the larvae of the few that I have here on blackthorn, and very easy to rear they were too. So any larva and any potential release wouldn't go down with the fruit growers, especially in southeast UK. But I got these as larvae to rear through to adults purely to illustrate the species on this channel. And thanks to the reluctant nature of this butterfly to fly, I think we might have done that.